Hello, and welcome to the Open Virtual Film Project. This is part 3B of my Unreal Skills for Film series and covers exporting reference geometry from Unreal to use in your 3D modeling software. Before we get started, I want you to be aware that exporting assets from the UE Marketplace or Quixel Bridge should only be done for reference, and using them in another rendering engine is prohibited by the UE Terms of Service. Do not use this process to sell or post Marketplace models online, or render Marketplace assets in Blender, Maya, or another digital content creation software. With that out of the way, we're going to start looking at my little hallway here and make a note about some things we might need to change. I do not like the transition between the wall and the ceiling here, so I'm going to add a piece of crown molding that goes between the two. I'm going to do this for the entire hallway and import that as one giant piece, and I'm also going to do it in an assetized workflow, which will be the next two videos. So, to get this reference geometry out of Unreal and into the content creation software of my choice, I'm going to make a selection of all of the pieces that I need to bring over, and come to File, Export Selected. If I wanted to bring the entire environment over, I could click this Export All section. However, I don't want these mirrors and touches cluttering up my environment. If I click Export Selected, it's going to pop up an Explorer window where I can choose where I want to save this file. I like creating a folder for the environment that I'm currently working on, inside of which I will often do the date, so 2022. 0126, followed by a little description. And then if I need to, create a file name. So I'm going to call this SM tutorial level export from UE. Give it a date, 126. This is just a temporary file, so it doesn't really matter what I call it. And I'm going to export it as an FBX file. This should be the default. If I hit save, it will pop open this FBX export options. I'm going to start going through the different options here. FBX export compatibility should be FBX 2013. This just makes sure that any software would be able to open it. In the message section, we're going to leave vertex color and level of detail unticked. There are times you might need to bring vertex color from Unreal into your software. This is not one of them. And exporting that level of detail will bring in a bunch of extra meshes that we do not need if we're using this as reference geometry. Similarly, collision will bring a mesh of the collision of your object into your content creation program. We don't want that, so we're going to leave it unticked. We're not dealing with skeletal meshes right now, so we're going to exclude morph targets and leave all of the animation stuff alone. Click Export, and that's it inside of Unreal. Now inside of your favorite digital content creation software, such as Blender, Maya, or Rhino. In this case, I'm using Blender. I will be showing you use of Maya and Rhino later. You want to create a new file, and make sure you're set to the correct unit scale. In Blender and Maya, there will be a Set Default Units button. And with that done, you want to import your FBX. For Blender, that's File, Import, FBX, and navigate to where that FBX is. With that selected, double check through your import settings to see if there's anything weird. The defaults should work, and click Import FBX. I have my hallway imported with the ceiling and the walls, ready to add a crown molding across the top. I also brought in a couple of doors for an effect that I'm going to be exploring in the third importing video. You will notice as you import things into various different softwares, it preserves the pivot point from Unreal and the structure, including naming. However, if you select an object and look at the materials that it brought in, you will see that the name of the material slot is correct. However, there is no texture or color information associated with the material. This is normal behavior. And oftentimes it will create one of these FBX default materials, which you can purge out as it is not necessary. Now that we're imported, we want to save the file that we've been working on. And as you're doing that, you want to make sure you're using the naming convention guide of the project that you're working on. If you do not have a naming convention guide for your project, I would suggest the following one. Start with a 3-letter show code. In this case, I'm going to call this TUT for tutorial show. My environment. In Unreal, my environment is tutorial. The type of file that this is, in this case, it is a 3D model, which is 3DM, all caps. Then a brief name of what the file is. In this case, it's going to be trim. Give it a date in the format of year, month, day. So this is the year 2022. It is January, so month is 01, and it is the 26th of January, 26. There's a free write field in case you need any notes. And the last thing you're going to do is add your initials. In my case, my name is Faye Corrigan, so I'm going to add FC. In the video description, I will link the OVFP naming convention standard for files outside of Unreal. Hit save. And then the last thing I want to do is in whatever 3D modeling software that I'm using, I want to take this import and put it onto a separate layer or denote it as being reference geometry in some other way. Inside of Blender, I'm going to do that using collections. So I'm going to go into the world outliner, click the new collection button. You see it creates this new collection. Call it reference geo, and then grab everything that was imported, pop it into the reference geo section. That way I am able to turn it on and off. And then if I work in this standard collection, which I've renamed trim, as I'm working, I can turn on and off my reference geometry to show just what I'm going to be importing and what I need to be referencing. Inside of Maya, I would do this with Maya layers. Same thing with Rhino. I would use a Rhino layer for this process. In addition, in any of the softwares, I can lock the particular layer or collection. Inside of Blender, this is done with this filter dropdown. Show the selectable button. And then I can set this reference geo to non-selectable. So now I can be working as much as I want. The reference geometry stays the same, and I can build on top of that. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching.